true, Jen. That's so true. Still calculating.
Yeah, man, it'll refresh in just a second
Okay.
there. So we are live. So real quick, why don't you intro Jen Bethune of your hype couple because you guys have such a good relationship? Tell us about Jen.
Jen with your hype couple. Jen, I love you. I'm so glad you're here and you're on the show. And we've known each other for a few years. Well, a few, like 5 years now.
Dang.
Before you started your travel, like lifestyle journey. And so I think that's one of the things we bond about is like we knew each other before we really pursued our dreams and kind of jumped into this crazy world of well, you were an entrepreneur beforehand, but just the world of travel and influencing. I mean, I feel like we've been kind of like hand in hand with that. So but Jen Bethune and Kyle and the whole family now have your hype couple and they've just taken off. So yeah.
So a few high level questions for people who might not know your brand yet or know your channels. How long have you been intentionally an influencing family?
February will be 4 years.
4 years.
Actually, no, November. This past November is 4 years because we started the channel and everything when we decided to go live. So or go live on the road. So 4 years.
Yeah, man. Now, okay, so I lived abroad. I lived a temporarily nomadic life. You do this full time. Like, was there ever a milestone where you and Kyle looked at each other and were like, "We're out," or like, "This is tough"? Like, did you ever have an existential moment on like the nomadic life?
You know, this bus life was our Hail Mary. Our marriage was failing. Our life was failing. Everything was going wrong. And we were like, you know what? Screw it. Let's go do this crazy journey. So like turning back was never an option for us. And yeah, we found out we are nomads through and through with no end in sight of
With no
living
in-
everywhere.
Well,
Yeah.
once you've gone that many years, you're like, we could just keep going. But like, I lived in the Dominican Republic for a year, and on month 9, I was like, I ain't doing this no more. Like, I had to get back, and it wasn't the nomadism. That was probably an intercultural. Like, I just wasn't. I wasn't. I didn't have the same opportunities, and I
Yeah.
think that was it for me. But that's interesting. Okay, and so like a few other numbers that people should know. I saw that your Instagram has like almost 115,000 followers,
Yeah.
give
Yeah.
or take.
Yeah.
And then your YouTube channel, I'm looking right now, 271,000
Mhm.
followers.
We have a
Were
lot of
there,
friends. Yeah.
you do have a lot of friends. Were there moments where these numbers leapt and you could point to a specific thought or a
Woo!
topic?
Yes, yes. There was a couple times where we had a lot of big jumps. The first really major jump was back in the end of summer of 2021. We found some footage that led to helping find a missing person.
Okay.
And so that was pretty cool. Got a lot of world national coverage from that.
Okay.
And then we went viral, mega viral in the summer of 2022. And we had about 8 videos at the same time on all 3 platforms going crazy.
Was it the content or the edits or like what was it for
It was the
those?
trolls.
Yeah, oh, for sure. I mean, it was about the kids, you know.
Right, yeah.
Our
Oh.
mission was to show people that an alternative lifestyle is doable, and we wanted to show how we did it. So before we even filmed the kids, we asked them or let them know what we're thinking of doing. And then
Okay.
we take questions from them of what they think or their input. And then we ask them, is this something that you would want to film with us? And if they say yes, cool, let's go, we'll film. If they say, nope, I don't really want to do it, then we say, okay, cool, you don't have to. That's why Molly is in the majority of our videos as opposed to the boys, because the boys just don't like it as much as she does.
Ah, okay. Real quick, Scout Inquirer says, "Hey everyone, New York is sending big hugs to Jen and Kyle from the family." Jess Esquill says, "We love the hype couple."
Love you guys.
Yeah, yeah, and just good morning. So just a few quick comments there. Here, yeah, let's just put them on the screen. Boom, there they are. Love the love there. So okay, so we were just okay. I have a question for you, and we sent you a few questions. Where are my questions? Let me pull these up because I'm super curious about. I've been curious. Nicole's been on this journey with you guys and all of her clients like you for a long time. But we asked Adventures with Gabby on our last show this question. And I'm really impressed at her numbers. Her personality's fun. I don't know. Do you guys follow each other?
Yes,
Maybe. I mean,
I love her. Gabby's amazing.
yeah. And so we asked her, does she consider herself a successful influencer? And she surprised us. What does she say?
She goes, no, I don't. You never really feel, for her, it was like a numbers thing and kind of staying relevant. So, but I know that there's different measurements for different people. So you could maybe feel successful about one thing, but maybe not another, So I thought it was interesting to hear what you got to say.
Yeah. Do you feel successful as an influence family?
So success is perspective, right? Like everybody's perspective of success. This is my friend Trish back here.
Hey, Trish.
Everybody's perspective of success is different. And for me, that's not numbers. Although our numbers are high, numbers are not what does it for me. It's the people. If my content and what I do and how I speak about our life and being vulnerable, if that helps one person today, I'm a success. So that for me, my mission in life is to give love and just show people that there truly is a light in this world. So if I do that, I'm successful.
Yeah. I mean, that's healthy. Do you think you've always felt that way? Did you ever chase numbers?
Oh yeah. I mean, everybody does. And I feel like if they tell you they don't, they're kind of misleading.
They're not being realistic with themselves.
Yeah, when you see those viral videos come up, you're like, oh my gosh, people like me. This is amazing. Like for me, I was bullied all throughout school. Like I was never popular. I was never cool until I just became and so it's really cool to see people like you, but you can get caught up in it. And then there's burnout and it spirals from there. So I think at the end of the day, you got to know your purpose and why you're doing what you're doing.
Definitely. And so my question, I've heard you say it and you mentioned this about her. There's like a pillar of content that's close to your heart about mental health. What is that? Can I hear more about that?
So really, absolutely. It's all about your healing journey. And I think when you start your healing journey, you're able to discover who you want to be. And your healing journey is really pulling back the trauma, pulling back the layers, pulling back the generational cycles that continue to affect you, and healing those. And once you heal them, you get to let them go and they don't affect you like they did before. And so you learn so much about yourself when you start that healing journey, because mental health is absolutely incorporated in it.
Yeah.
Is that part of the reason you guys changed your branding? Because that was a big deal. I mean, like everybody, gets to know you as Red, White, and Bethune, but you felt, I remember that calling that you came to and you're like, look, we're considering changing our name. I know it's a big thing, but this is the next phase or move for us. And that was huge.
Well, we want to be inclusive. We want to love every single human being. I don't care if you hate me. I don't care if you like me. I just want to love you. And so that was really the basis behind changing the name. We wanted a new start because our purpose, we zoned in. That first 3.5 years we were doing YouTube and doing social media. That was learning. That was trial and error. That was failing forward. To get to now to really define that heart-driven purpose.
Yeah. A few quick comments that have been piping in. Jess says hello. Scout and Jess seem to know each other. A contact of mine says Netza Rodriguez says healing is super important. When did you hit a moment where you realized, wait, we need a time out and focus on healing? Without maybe getting into personal details, like where were you at in the country? Where were you at with your brand when you realized we got to work on some healing?
There's been a lot. And when there is, we pause. When there's a moment that we are feeling very weighed down, very burnt out, just not ourselves, we're like, okay, hang on. We let all of our followers know, hey, we're not doing okay. We're taking a mental health break. And we'll take a mental health break for long as needed in order to restore ourselves. Because it's like putting that airplane mask on, right? If you don't put it on yourself first, you can't help the person next to you. And that hurts our numbers. That hurts the algorithm. But at the end of the day, for us, our mental health is number one.
Absolutely. Jess Esquell says it's important to keep your peace.
For sure.
Do you have code language between you and Kyle that's like a word that goes, listen, when I say this word, we got to have a talking time out? Is there like a code word for the family?
Yeah, I mean, there's a look,
Oh.
Like many married people.
Like we've been together for almost 18 years. We've done couples therapy for 3 years. We almost can communicate telepathically at this point.
Yeah, that's good.
He can look at me and I'll be like, yeah, I got you. And like, I can look at him and be like, oh yeah, I got you too, baby. So it's more of like an energy and being aware of your other person.
Yeah, man. Jess says the hype couple provides a safe place, and so everyone on here is loved and accepted. Boom. So you're fulfilling your mission in a big way.
Yep.
So quick question. You guys have traveled everywhere. Have you guys considered international?
Oh, absolutely. The thing that's stopping us right now is our dogs. We have 4 dogs on the road, and we love them dearly. And so the plan is, when the last one crosses the Rainbow Bridge, all 5 of us are going to go down to 1 backpack each, and we are going to travel the world.
Oh, man.
What if you could have them happy somewhere, like my yard, for like a month?
I don't know. The kind of travel that we want to do,
it's not really, more Florida yards.
Yeah, it's dedication. And like, we don't want to have any ties down. We just want to be free as birds and go show our kids the world.
Yeah. How old can I ask how old your kids are?
Yeah. Ben is 13. Molly is 10 and Eli is 8.
Man, they're all about an age to appreciate this.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Like they're seeing it now. Like they did traditional life before. We had the house, we had the cars, they went to regular school. Yeah. They much prefer this life over that one.
Interesting. Okay. What you got there? Go for it.
Scout says, beautifully said, Jen. You definitely need to peel the onion of your life to become happier and healthier. And Darren W says, glad you are all better, Jen. And then Roberto saying, love this.
Yeah, Roberto Barrero from Tampa. Boom. So here's the question.
Okay.
Can we talk about Colombia?
Yeah.
So we had, I don't mind, you can preface this or I can preface this. We had a killer conversation with, what was her name? Catalina.
Yeah, Catalina.
Who was a member of the Pro Colombia team yesterday. So like this question about Colombia came up, and I don't know if you know anything, we just discovered Pro Colombia is the tourism arm for the country of Colombia.
Yeah.
And we got to talking just randomly to have them on the show because we're talking to all these travel people. And they're like, we're looking at bringing influencers down. And we asked them, what was the question we asked them, like what their main problem was?
Yeah,
and what did she say?
One of their biggest challenges is having the reputation of not having like a place for safe travel. So they're really focusing on changing that, changing that reputation through like press
trips.
Press and media trips, and they're looking at influencer marketing again. And so specifically, I would say families, because if you are comfortable enough traveling to another country with your kids, I feel like that is really like the thing that makes everybody else go, okay, well, if they feel comfortable with their kids, then I can come there. So family, I would think, is a big part of that. So just really thinking international travel. Is Colombia one of those places that come to mind when you think of traveling? Or if not, is it something that you would consider if you felt like, if you were more like knowledgeable about the places to go and where to stay?
For sure. Like, we are the type of people that will literally go almost anywhere. As long as it feels aligned with us, we will go. And that's part of knowing yourself, and I feel like families are great because if you can bring kids there, you can bring anybody there.
Right.
And I think that that's awesome because I feel like here we're a little jaded in the sense that we really don't know a lot about other countries.
This is the thing.
Yeah.
That different is bad, but different just means different. And so you really don't see it until you go experience it yourself. And so absolutely, hands down.
Is there any country, like the reason we're bringing this up is because the reputation thing, and we thought, well, that's pretty intuitive because Americans kind of have this thought that have had
They've watched too many movies.
about Colombia and the narco state. And I just got back about a month ago from a trip down there where I had a great time. And and it was fantastic. But then that got me thinking, how many countries just have this subtle like red flag to Americans? So are there any countries other than Colombia that you've thought of that you're like, maybe I'll bring the kids down? Well, not here. Like, is there anything that has like a yellow flag for you like that?
I mean, anywhere there's a war going on at the
Oh, yeah.
time is probably
Yeah.
like going to be a no-go for us. But
hard
we
no.
like to really do our research and look into things and like go beyond that surface level layer and beyond the myth that's going on.
Right.
So at the
Yeah.
top of my head, I mean, other than places that are in war or feel not okay with us when we look into them, I mean, I see us pretty much going everywhere.
Yeah. I do
Interesting.
too.
Now, when I used to travel, anywhere I go, you know how sometimes people collect like shot glasses? Like, I tend to collect like old and used books. I like visiting, especially other countries. I like visiting like temples of faith that are local to that area. I like to visit with locals in the local economy. Do you ever, like for you and the family, I know you've mainly traveled to U.S. Do you have like a punch list of these, not for content purposes? Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, coffee. Kyle is a huge coffee lover, and he said the best cup was in Seattle. And I always wanted to order the coffee that he loved. And I never got around to like asking, but Colombia would be amazing because they have a huge coffee tourism like thing
Ooh.
going on there.
We should put that in a press kit for them.
They should,
Because Catalina was telling us that they're putting different niche press proposals together, and one of them was for the coffee region.
Yeah.
And checking that out. Maybe we'll look at that face.
Kyle would just fall over. He remembers places based on the coffee there. So like
I believe it.
One of his absolute favorite coffee places is in Leadville, Colorado, the highest incorporated town in the United States.
I've been there.
Really? So it's this cute little tiny shack that he went to. Anyway, the man loves freaking coffee.
Yeah.
I've been to this coffee shop. There's a marathon. It's the highest altitude marathon in the United States. It happens in Leadville. There's a gorgeous alpine lake, like minutes from that coffee shop, and it was actually up to the myth. Like it was good coffee. That's so funny.
It's a big thing. It's almost like a foodie. You go where like the known spots are for that best thing. Roberto says facts. So many huge myths. There are bad parts everywhere. And we can definitely say that about the U.S. In the U.S., I can mention 5 cities that no one would go in sundown. LOL, trust me. 100%. Even here in Tampa or Lakeland or, any city, state has that.
We camped in the middle of Chicago in a trucking parking lot. Okay. For an entire
my gosh.
Had the best flipping time. Everybody was so nice. We were not bothered. Of course, there's parts of Chicago that you don't want to go to, but that's part of being aware, doing your research, seeing what places, if I got a bad feeling, I'm not going to go there. We went to Detroit. Detroit was incredible. Kyle and I had such a beautiful date day there. So you just have to be aware of your surroundings and do your research on the area.
Oh, yeah. And then I'm often surprised, too, something that might have a bad reputation. You show up and go, like I did a few years in Haiti, and then I lived in the DR, as I said, and there's some areas where they're like, don't go there. And you're like, well, these people are actually really nice. And then there's other areas where like, you got to check this out. I tell you, I traveled with Semester at Sea. I've never told you this story. I traveled with Semester at Sea 2005. And, our first stop was Hong Kong. I'm sorry, our first stop was South Korea, Japan, all these places. And then we were getting into places in Africa and India and all this stuff. I was mugged twice in Hawaii.
Whoa.
Twice in Hawaii. And it was just like, what? And then, of course, you show up in like China and they're like, everyone's trying to help, and it's like, man, it just messes with your brain that it's never what you think,
Yeah.
Jared says Colombia and Guatemala have wonderful coffee when thinking about the Americas region. Jared's my good buddy from our other show, Not Crypto Bros. And he's got his own show, More Than Blockchain, and he's paying attention, but he's in Bogota, Colombia himself.
He lives there, right?
Yeah, he lives there. Jared, we got to talk about this awesome meeting we had. What's Mark say? Oh, Heart and Beautiful Spirit would stop some wars.
That is so true.
Who's Mark? Do you know this guy?
Yes. Oh, so many people are on that are friends.
People.
And
Yeah.
there are people, and I call them family. Mark's part of the family.
That's got to be one of the better parts of having cultivated a large following. And I've noticed every time I mention it, you reframe it as friends. And I appreciate that about you because it kind of dehumanizes them to say followers or, following or whatever it is. But I really like
No,
the fact.
Jen almost knows everybody who interacts with their channel if they are interacting in a meaningful way, and I mean, she sends me screenshots of like, look at this comment. I lived my best life. If there's anything else that happens in this world, this comment right here is why I keep going. And she sends them to me, and people are very touched by her community. And she has a community. She has is it still the Bethunes?
Yeah. And like when I get great comments, I have this folder on my phone. When I'm having a bad day, I pull out these comments and I'll read them.
Yes.
And they just make me feel so good. So like pro tip, if you have like text messages from somebody or Facebook messages, Facebook comments, and you get a great one, save it. Put it in a separate album in your phone for your bad days so you can pull it out and help yourself.
Yeah, so you just got a great message here. Netza Rodriguez says, we want to follow Jen. So Nicole is typing out y'all's, it's not Couple. It's
hard to, I'm like, it's your hype couple across the board. Like
your hype
YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, it's your hype couple. I'm going to do it one more time and see if I can type.
Yeah. Sorry, Netza. We just missed it. We love you, Jen. Jess says, man, you got a lot of love. If we were lesser people, we'd start a cult. I mean, these people really love you, but it would not be pure at that point. now, Jen, how do I pronounce this handle? Do you know these folks, the 20 Keys?
Yeah, that's Tammy to Oki's Bus Life. They just built their bus. I don't know if Tammy, if you guys are in it yet or not. I haven't seen an update, but they were getting on the road too.
Awesome. So, okay. What's next for your hype couple? You guys have done a lot. What's the vision for what's next?
Yeah, we want to live by example. You don't have to, in order to change your life, you don't have to go move into a bus. But you do have to live your passion and kind of discover what that is. So we kind of want to be the roadmap for that and get super vulnerable. Like I'm talking real, raw, like with Kyle editing the videos, it's going to be our day in and day out life. He wants to put a new vlog out every other day. We want to be there for people. We have so many family members that are alone and don't have anyone close to them locally. Maybe their spouse has died. So like we want to be your family and be there for you. So wherever that's going to take us is I'm excited for.
So real quick, my guy Jarrett in Bogota, he asks, I was late to the show. What type of bus do you have? And could you answer that for us?
Yeah, it's actually kind of right back there outside of the lounge. It's a 1983 Eagle bus. So she's a 5-speed standard bus that Kyle chugs on down the road. And we bought a new bus recently. It's going to get redone. Another story for another day.
You want to do another little tour real quick and show? Yeah.
So my tents are falling down.
Life of professional nomads. Go ahead.
Professionals. We're actually staying in the same spot for 3 months. So I got to have an outdoor area. Our youngest wanted to play soccer. Our daughter wanted to be with her friends. And Kyle, my partner, wanted to play pickleball every single day. So our best life here. This is the lounge. Actually, I'll take you guys out here first.
Yeah, please.
Here's the parlor. So the parlor has the hammocks and the chairs and all the fun stuff. There's the bus. Then there is the dining room. We have our dining room over here. And then right here is our lounge. And so this is going to have the couches, the coffee table, just like such a great hangout.
And the mosquito netting, which is absolutely key.
Absolutely for Florida. So that's our little oasis here in Central Florida.
Yeah, Jared says that sounds like a serious bus. I was thinking a Sprinter. No, my man. They
have a Sprinter too.
Do you?
Yeah.
Where does that park?
Well, we put it in storage. We're actually trying to sell it. That was one of our cathartic experiences, was being in a bus being in a 120 square feet van with 3 kids, 2 adults, and 4 dogs for 11 weeks. Major spiritual growth on that one.
That's when we started the counseling.
It was close. But no, so we wanted a off-grid vehicle so we could park the bus and like get really off-grid.
Yeah.
In that 11 weeks, we were remodeling the kids' bunks, so we had to spend time.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So Jared has a follow-up, and he says he swears it's his last. I know, Jared, it won't be his last. What's the Wi-Fi situation? Starlink, Verizon, what do you do?
So we have 4 routers in our bus.
Dang.
What?
What?
The life
That's more than I
experience.
have in my house.
Yeah, you have to have all of them because some of them work in different areas.
Yeah. So we have
Sure.
Starlink. We have the T-Mobile Home, which is my favorite out of all 4, $35 a month, unlimited internet access. Then we have an AT&T router and a Visible, which is Verizon router. So no matter where we go, we are covered.
Interesting. Okay. And how long did it take you to learn those lessons? Like, I'm out here trying to do a live and it's not happening.
We're still learning lessons.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's always something. We have it down to like a 90% accuracy rate now, which I'll
Yeah.
take. It's a passing grade. I'm good.
Yeah.
But it took us about 2.5 years to really figure out the Wi-Fi situation.
And you know, the international is like an entire new ball game.
I know. I'll
You
get
know?
there when I get there.
Yeah, yeah. Don't
Yeah.
even open that
Yeah.
can of worms. Patsy Castine says the hype couple are amazing. And how do you know Patsy? What does she do?
So Patsy is actually Patty Gill's mom. So Gill's on
okay.
Wheels. Yes,
Yeah.
Patsy, love her. She is amazing. She lives in Georgia. I swear one of these days we're gonna just pull up in her driveway. But no, she's wonderful.
So what's interesting is on the nomadic life, I think you saying you're going to be in a place for 3 months, that when you say that and you list why, it's suddenly like, oh, that makes sense. There are no rules. But I remember when I was attempting some of the more nomadic life, there was this loop in my brain in the early days that means I'm always on the go. And I don't build community. So you've been very fortunate to build your family and community. Is that as fulfilling as what people project being a townie somewhere or being a local somewhere? Is it checking all of your community boxes the way you want it to?
Well, here's the thing. We live seasonally. We live with the weather. And coming up, we have a new plan. In the fall and winter, we're going to kind of stay more still. And so kind of, in the winter, you regenerate yourself. You're slow. The weather is darker earlier. So you're really regeneration. And then in the spring and summer, we're going to travel like crazy. We're going to be moving every week to every 2 weeks because it's fun. It's summer travel. Kids are not doing school as heavily. So we're going to live with the weather. And we also live with our kids' needs. When they voice something to us, it's really about what's going to benefit the whole family. We wanted to slow down. Like I said, Eli wants to play soccer. We want to make sure that our kids have their needs met on the road too.
There's an RV community that many have voiced that is been more profound in their life than their own communities and their own towns when they were in sticks and bricks. And I've heard this multiple times. Like the RV community is an amazing thing on its own, and also more fulfilling than what they have found before. And I'm going to assume that's probably the case for what you think too, Jen. But you tell me, like, what have you found with the RV community? Have you found your people?
Oh, absolutely. Like so here's the thing. We don't really label ourselves anywhere. We just meander through life. And so we have bus life friends, van life friends, world traveling friends. We have RV friends, and we hang out with all of them at different times. So we're fulfilling a part of our soul that needs it. We're not hanging around the same people, but we're getting beautiful, different experiences with a multitude of different human beings. So it's cool.
Yeah.
So overall, do you feel more connected to people than you did?
Absolutely. Because like when you first meet on the road, it's like speed dating. You don't want to do small talk. You don't want to deal with like the subtleties and the pleasantries. You get down to like childhood traumas. You're like, okay, you had this happen too? Great. We're friends now.
Right.
Yes.
Because you have a limited amount of time. And the thing with me is I am not an online or texting friend. I am not a long distance friend. I am an in-person. I want to be in your energy, hanging out with you. I will give you my all. Because I just feel like I'm a much more in-person person. So with this life, I get to be intentional with that.
Interesting. I caught something else. with the hurried life everyone's living today, the digital life, there's a major move in a lot of people that are like young Gen Xers or millennials and younger to go back to the land, homesteading. But you mentioned something, part of all of that is to feel connected to nature, connected to our living. I never thought about the correlation that you just made of moving with the weather is another way to do that. And that is what nomadic tribes did. And though you're doing it your own way, it is. So I guess that my brain thought that. So my question is, do you feel scratching that itch of being more connected to the way life was meant to be?
Absolutely. When you live with the moon, you live with the cycle. Every 28 days, the moon is changing, right? And so the energies are changing. The weather is changing. And so when you go with the flow, you don't have to swim against the current. And when you
Whoa,
don't
time out.
Uh-oh, she just
Time
dropped
out.
it. It's hot. Mic drop.
When you go with the flow, you don't have to swim against the current.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Keep going. I'm sorry. I just wanted to
Yeah,
get that.
no, that's pretty much it. I mean, it's just
Wow.
when you flow with life, it's just easier. You don't get upset at things. You just let things unfold, and it's not so hard on you.
Now, I can make some assumptions about the business of what you're doing. And I can make some assumptions that you're building some stability. As you observe, maybe speaking for your observation of nomadic living, RV living, bus living, I'm always concerned, I had this concern in the Dominican Republic. Am I building a life in preparation for retirement? Am I feeling secure about the future? And even Jarrett and I were having this conversation a little bit. Do you find that nomadic living affects it either way? Security about the future, feeling secure in what your future looks like? Or is everyone just comfortable not knowing?
Well, I think we live in the moment, right? Like we're secure as much as we have to be, like for a certain period of time out. But here's the thing, 62% of Americans live to die of old age. That means there's almost 40 something percent that's never going to get there. So you're spending so much time planning and prepping and worrying and anxiety about the future. You have no idea what the future is going to hold, and we take problems, we actually call them lessons. So the lessons that come our way, we take it one lesson at a time and we grow through it instead of like trying to plan for 50 things that haven't happened yet. We deal with what's happening right now.
Very good. Very good.
And you always have your bus.
Yeah.
I can
at the end of the day,
like
you can do whatever you want. You already have your little home, and it's like, that kind of takes it off.
The thing is, everything's for a season. Like you were in the Dominican Republic for a season. It doesn't have to be forever. Like I struggled at the beginning of nomad life. We have to move all the time. We are full-time nomads. We have got to go and see and do. I'm still a full-time nomad. Just right now, my season is for 3 months in this amazing Central Florida spot. I'm fluid. I can flow. There's no current, that I'm swimming against.
Yeah, man. What?
That's good. You're just dropping all the knowledge bombs today. Then.
I try.
I'm basking in your glory today.
Yeah, it's like, man, okay, I think it's time to go check out a bus is what
I know.
The
by the
vibe
end
is.
of it, when you hang out with them, seriously, you start thinking about like, maybe I should get an RV. Maybe I do need to change my life. I need to,
It's not even moving in a bus. Go move to a different state. Go move 5 towns away. If you really want to disrupt or to shake up your life and have real true meaning, you got to get out of where you've always been. Because if you stay where you've always been, you're never going to change. Nothing's going to grow. Nothing's going to happen. So you've got to make a major move and a shift. And that could be if you want to go live on the side of a mountain and sew dog sweaters and sell them on Etsy. It doesn't matter. Whatever speaks to your soul, go do that.
Okay. So for people who may not be able to move or, what are some things that they can do in their everyday life to give them a little bit more of that like shift that you're talking about, like disruptor, because they know something needs to change, but they maybe don't have the ability at this moment in time. What would you say to those people?
That's a good
Shut
question.
your phone off for an hour a day. Put it
Yeah.
on do not
Oh,
disturb.
Hey, another one.
Sit with yourself for an hour a day, whether that be outside going on a walk. Do not listen to music. Listen to the sounds of nature. Ask
Mhm.
yourself serious questions or just be silent.
mm,
Just be with you. That's the
mm,
first one. That's so major to getting to know yourself is stop the distractions because the
yeah,
only opinion that matters is yours. So
yeah.
stop
Right.
asking everybody else's.
It's huge.
I'm a coach of sorts, and whatever banner I'm under, goal coaching, messaging coaching, it's all kind of the same because what I'm realizing is people are jumping from thing to thing. And part of that motivation is like to keep ahead as entrepreneurs, but the other part is there's this boogeyman in the closet that if they're alone with their voice in their head,
Mhm.
they're going to discover something that is more painful than they can handle. But a few sessions like you're talking about, and we quickly find out it's not so terrifying in my head, but there are some serious things I got to look at, and it's cathartic. It really is. So that leads to a question. Did you have a question there that I cut off?
No, I was
Oh,
just going to read
go
what
for it.
Jarrett said is that everyone I know who has lived in other places are better off, and it's a privilege. But if you can do it, you should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was going to ask this question. What, if any, message does the hype couple have? Is there a message you have to the world that you're cultivating?
Yeah, I mean, we want to hype you up and help you grow through life. We want to be there with you in your
Mm,
wins. We want to be there with you in your fails. We want to show you that happiness, true contentment, is achievable for anyone. It
mhm,
took us 10 years to do that. It took us 10 years to start out as weekend RVers and knew that this was the goal. But let me tell you, time is going to pass by either way. 10 years from now,
Damn.
look back with a different perspective than the one that you're sitting in. So if you're unhappy, if you don't like where you're at, if you're miserable, you can change it.
Mm,
Mhm.
Absolutely can't. No excuses. Find
wow.
a way to make it happen, or you'll make an excuse not to.
And I see that on your profile, your Instagram profile, it says encouraging growth through our lessons in travel.
Yep.
And is that pretty much across the board? Like your YouTube
Oh yeah.
channel says the same thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wow. And it sounds
it's all about growth. And us, like we get super vulnerable. What you see is what you get. This person, me that's talking to you right now, is the same person you're going to get if you walk up to my campsite and strike up a conversation. Like I'm just
sure.
dead. And I live my life to help and serve and love other people.
Mhm.
That's powerful. Well, as we're hitting the top of our time, any final questions before we kind of direct people on how to follow Jen and Kyle and the
Um,
family?
where can we can follow you on every platform? You can also, if you want to tell us a little bit about like your membership and what
Oh,
the Bethunes gets, that's different than maybe that people don't see on social because they're part of that membership.
yeah. What is that?
Yeah, so we're going through some transitions. We're going through some changes, and the Bethunes are actually going to be kind of moving into your hype squad. And it's
Love it.
going to be a group full of just uplifting affirmations, being there for each other, really digging in and having a happy place to go on social media where you can
Mm.
just be yourself.
Yeah.
How long have you been nurturing the hype squad, the soon to be hype squad? How long have you been nurturing that intentional community?
So April was when we really made the shift into your hype couple because we really didn't have a direction when we were Red, White, and Bethune.
Mm.
We were just trying to figure out life and bring people along with us. And now that we know our purpose, we made that shift back then, and it feels so good.
Well, and I appreciate that. And I guess what I'm asking is whether it was Bethunes before this, it's a subscription, it's a paid community of
Yep,
some kind.
yep.
As I've thought about building community for Spark, which is my personal brand, or HotSpark, our shared brand, some of the advisors in our lives have spoken and said community management's way too hard. How has community management been for you? Because you got to build these deep relationships. How has community management been for you?
There's ebbs and flows. Honestly,
Hmm.
it would have been easier if we would have just joined Patreon. But we decided to build it onto our website. So we own it. We own our community. Nobody can take that from us. We can put what we want on there. But logistically, it's been a lot harder. We don't have all of those tools that Patreon is able to afford. However, it's been very rewarding, it being ours. And so we've kind of taken our time with it. It's gone through a weird phase. We've paused all of the memberships right now because we kind of want to transfer over and dedicate our time in one lane and shift back over to that soon.
Okay.
No, that's good feedback. And that's kind of in line. A lot of people say, like they build it with one thesis and then they develop a new thought, and it's like, dang, when you have a community, that's not like turning the bus or breaking down the Cabela's tent. I'm turning a ship behind me of people that they're vested.
Yeah.
And we want to honor those relationships. And so I've heard pros and cons on community. So we haven't launched anything yet, and I haven't with Spark. I did have a community for a while, but I just thought I'd ask. You mentioned it, and it's something that's top of mind for a lot of influencers that are on the grow. I'm sure a lot of them are considering community development or subscriptions of some kind, and that's a good, not warning, but learning.
I don't want people to feel like they have to do all the things. The things come when you're ready for them. And so, like, if community is in your goal, it's in your mindset that I want this one day, it's okay that it's maybe a year or two off. That's not a bad thing. Get control of your foundation first, and then you can branch out into other things when you're ready to onboard them.
Awesome. So if you're watching, this has been phenomenal. This went a direction I didn't know, and I'm really blessed by it. I know she's been blessed by your relationship for a long time. But I was really blessed on how you guys handle this, because a lot of people make influence work not seem superficial, but seem glittery, if that makes any sense. And you make it seem
rose-colored glasses.
Yeah, you make it seem very human, but not like gritty. I mean, if it's rose-colored glasses, but joyful. And I really appreciate that. So thank you so much, Jen. Everyone, follow them at Your Hype Couple on any platform you can. Now I'm a raging fan, so thank you so much for your time, Jen.
Thanks for coming on, Jen.
Thank you.
We'll talk soon. Have a great one.
Okay, bye.
Man, that was awesome. Any immediate takeaways just for the audience before we hang up that really stuck with you?
I think that she has just as much of a business mind as she does a mission, and she's very intentional about both. But if there's one person who truly cares about their community, it's Jen and Kyle.
Yeah.
They are truly vested in their community, and you can see that today by people showing up. And that happens all the time. When I'm with her, when people see her for the first time, and it's incredible. So I just love and appreciate that she's in my life.
And her community as well. So everyone, thank you so much. Next week, we will not have a HotSpark show live. We're going to take the break, getting close to the holidays, but we'll be back the next week.
Yes.
And you'll see those announcements. So thanks so much, everyone, and have a great day. Take care.